Lady at the back, please.
At the weekend, the PLA was seen on the streets of Hong Kong for the first time since the protests began, cleaning up debris. In a statement to CNN, your government said that they were there purely for a community volunteer activity, and this was something that they did out of their own initiative. Does it concern you that the PLA did this unilaterally? Do you anticipate that we will see the PLA again on the streets of Hong Kong? And at what new level of violence needs to be reached for you to call upon the PLA to become involved in what's happening here in Hong Kong, including the ongoing standoff at Hong Kong Polytechnic University, which, as you say, has turned into a war zone?
Well, first of all, as you have referred to in our response to inquiry about the garrison's voluntary participation in clearing the roadblocks and the debris on the streets, we have made it very clear, and I repeat here, the garrison's stationing in Hong Kong is, of course, to perform defense functions. But it is not uncommon from time to time for the garrison to undertake some voluntary and charitable activities in Hong Kong. So there are very clear rules and circumstances governing those situations. I can give you a list of examples of the garrison's participation in such charitable and voluntary activities. Like last year when we have a super typhoon Mangkhut, they came out to help clear the collapsed trees, which of course was much welcomed by the people of Hong Kong. And from time to time, they also visited some elderly homes, and they arranged training activities for some of our youngsters and so on. So I would suggest that we do not overinterpret this particular act of voluntary involvement. Particularly, if you look at the actual circumstances, the ordinary Hong Kong citizens, they were taking part in clearing roads right in front of one of the military facilities of the garrison, that is Kowloon East. So for any ordinary people, if people are helping to clear the road in front of your building, then you feel more obliged to give a helping hand. So that's the situation. As we have also clarified, this voluntary act of the garrison did not come under any provisions in the basic law. That is, it is not in response to my request. Okay, that is the second point. And you asked about when we would resort to formally inviting the garrison to help. I would assure you that we remain very confident that we are able to cope with the situation. And that's why operations like that happening in the Polytechnic University is a very important one. I, for one, appreciate that it is a very difficult one. It's a very complicated operation. But if we were not able to undertake any operations to arrest these rioters who are resorting to escalating violence and who are damaging Hong Kong from one place to another, from one campus to another, and manufacturing more and more life-threatening weapons and petrol bombs and so on, we will not be able to demonstrate and display that competence in dealing with the situation. But right now, we are still sort of displaying and demonstrating that competence to handle the situation ourselves.
One last English question. Please.
Mrs. Lam, the police have been besieging the Polytechnic University since Sunday. And many people, as you said, are still trapped inside. Will you, as the chief executive, make sure that the people trapped inside can return home safely and will not receive any unfair treatment, even if they are to be arrested?
Thank you for that question. As I have said, I have agreed with the Commissioner of Police in handling this very difficult and complicated but necessary operation. There are two important principles. The first will be able to address your question. The first is we all want to achieve it in a very peaceful manner. So, but we are very much, our police colleagues are very much on the reactive side. If the protesters are coming out in a peaceful manner, In other words, they stop violence, they give up their weapons, they take the advice of the policeman, then there is no situation that sort of violence will happen. And the police will, of course, render fair treatment to everybody, both arrested or those recorded and allowed to go home without being arrested. By this I mean those under the age of 18, and we have about 200 of these under 18 who have come out of the campus and have been dealt with in a humanitarian manner. So that is something that we will continue to adopt as a very important guideline. The reason I cannot give you an absolute guarantee is because the situation is changing. For argument's sake, if we were suddenly seeing some very major, life-threatening incidents on the campus, then, as I said, the police are on the reactive side. Then the police have to take the necessary action to prevent any tragedies from happening in Hong Kong. 多謝大家。